nor up for debate, but it is between family. So if you forgot who we were, I'm Kaya. And we have Shauna. And then it was EVE, Keish, and Chris Topher. Yeah. So, we couldn't let some of these topics go without addressing them, because it seems like, we've been talking about certain things over the past few years. I was actually doing some editing and I was looking at our episode when we were talking about Lizzo and talking about how she put so much positivity in the world, and Lizzo, all she wants to do is sing and help the masses, and then we find out she's a straight up bitch behind closed doors. Allegedly, we find out that she is an alleged bitch behind closed doors. And, I think that was one small, minute puzzle piece to the broader puzzle. You got the whole Diddy situation. We've obviously already talked about that, but we haven't talked since the raid. And then now you have this documentary, Quiet on Set. So with the documentary, it follows some of these stars that were on Nickelodeon throughout their careers on Nickelodeon, how they were abused in more ways than one.
Yeah.
So, do you think that this is now God's, because you know how the old folks say, what's done in the dark is going to come to the light. So do you think that the 2024 is literally the tearing of the scab over wounds that have been there?
It started from last year, because when we did a show about the whole snitching, how people are snitching.
Yeah, we did. I mean, Jaguar was a part of that, and we was talking about Diddy, but we cut out most of the show because we didn't want to get beat up, sued.
We were scared of Diddy. That's why.
We were scared. Half the show was edited out because we was just like, nope, we ain't saying Diddy did this.
Yes. But yeah, so people been coming out since last year. And like you said, what goes in what comes with, what's that saying? What happens
was done in the dark will come to the light.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we have to start by talking about the time. It was the 90s. There was no
sidebar
social media.
Anything went in the 90s, by the way.
Right. So that's why I'm saying let's start with
and the 80s and the 70s and the 60s.
The time frame.
Right.
Back then there was no social media. You may have heard whispers of things that, did you hear so and so is sleeping with this one? And I remember Wendy and the whole who's the gay rapper. It was just wasn't a time.
It wasn't ever uncovered of who the gay rapper was, or she kept that until she literally went into alcohol-induced amnesia.
There were a few people who they thought it was, but it was not.
It wasn't Lil Nas X.
Right. It wasn't confirmed. So I wanted to start off by saying, if we think back, whether it was the Nickelodeon sets, whether it was in the rap videos, you never really heard of these things until somebody wrote a book, or this one spoke with this one and did interviews. So I think now that the times have changed, people are starting to feel like it's okay to tell their stories. And just to be clear, the 5 lawsuits against Diddy, they're not criminal. They're
Civil.
Well, so this documentary with the children, the childhood stars, my question, y'all know how I am. I pull back all the layers and get to the meat of everything. But in any situation when it comes down to a child, even with the whole R. Kelly, with the documentary on Lifetime, the 5 or 10-part series that they had, what behooved me, what concerned me was the parents of these children. I'm like, listen, you mean to tell me if they had a lineup, if they had a list of all the people between the documentary with R. Kelly and the documentary with the Nickelodeon kids, you got about 10 to 20 children. And you mean to tell me all of they fucking parents didn't protect their kids?
In the documentary, it was kind of put in a way that, you know, the because they were minors, the parents had to be there. So when they were on set and everything, the parents were there unless like a production assistant had to escort them to different areas or so, or the parents would still be there and stuff like that. It was really happening like at their house when there was like a party, or the parents be like, what was his name? They were like more like mentors. And the parents was just like, you know what, since you really want to, you know, they were pushing their kids to try to make it and stuff like that. So they were the mentors that were actually raping them. Like, if you know that person on set the whole time and you really trusting them, because the way they did it, they built the trust up. They didn't just display that in the
That's
beginning.
what you
So
call
they
grooming.
they groomed all of this so you could trust them. And then, oh, come over, I'm going to give him lessons, we're going to work on the script and stuff like that. And then come to find out they were sitting there getting molested. And then they put the thought in your ear as if it was just like, you know what, this is what you have to do to make it in this industry. So the kids were just like so afraid to even tell. Drake from Drake and Josh, he said he fell asleep and woke up being penetrated or molested.
So let me tell you something. I am of Panamanian descent, and I remember my mother.
Why you got to put on an accent?
The accent
to say
came
that
out.
You go somewhere, I don't care if it was a sleepaway camp, wherever it was, don't let nobody pull down your pants. Don't let they would give you you be like, wait, who's pulling down my panties? I'm just going to a party, Mom. Like, this is a 5-year-old party.
Who's this rabid pantser on the loose?
Like,
That's just so good.
But like they had it where it's like they had this fear that you was gonna always get molested by somebody, so you always was like, don't let nobody look at your stuff. Did anybody look at your breasts? Like, no, we was just going to get ice cream. Like, what is you talking about? Okay, so it's sad. It's really sad that this took place. This show you how the devil is real, and the fact that people be so hungry for fame and success that down to the children, they were brainwashed because a lot of times these kids wanted to make their parents happy. And so, it's just sad. It baffles me though that this culture was happening, but it's happened through, even with the Weinstein and with the grown women, like what's her name, Lapita. She never would have came out unless other women came out. That how Weinstein, she was at his house watching movies with the family, and this dude took in another room to have sex with her. Like, what the fuck is going on here? I'm sorry.
I had no idea that happened.
Yup, and she never said anything until everybody else said something. And she finally said, well, shit, this shit happened to me too. Like, damn, like what kind of industry is this? This is scary. It's like this, there's like a beast a hidden beast running this industry from soup
And
to
it,
nuts.
and with a lot of people in that industry, going back to the documentary, a lot of people were covering for people. Like when Drake finally came out and said it and went to court, sued him and everything, pressed charges, all of that stuff. He said when he got there, he saw so many famous people in the audience on his side, on the guy
On
that
that
molested
side,
him
yeah.
from. And when I need y'all to really watch that and look at the list of the people that were writing good character letters for them and everything. My mouth literally dropped. Like, who?
Well, because you gotta, understand, if my friend, if my, says that this is not true, I'm the same person I've always been, this is not something I would ever do, I am going to go in thinking about my experience with my friend. My friend has never shown me any of these things. So I'm thinking based on what my friend says. So I don't want the people who sit on the other side to automatically be crucified because they're just thinking this is my friend who I know who I wouldn't think would ever.
That's why I love Shauna. Because Shauna always, like, you know how to, like, a kaleidoscope when you get something. You're like, okay, because I'm like, you know what? I'm a jokester. So somebody had came to me and said, Shauna, all the children in the neighborhood.
Would
I'll be
you
the first one to write you a letter.
I
No,
did
my
it
sister won't
exactly.
be nobody's child in the neighborhood.
Exactly.
I'll be the first one to write a 10-page letter and say,
Exactly.
with my napkin, no, she would not nobody's children.
I don't know, because it was just like, because it was more the fact that multiple people before that was getting charged within Nickelodeon.
No, I
So it was just like,
totally
and it just
understand.
also put it in a perspective of me because I was, that's my generation, like all that and so that's my age group. So growing up looking at it and as a performer wanting to be that, went on auditions, made it to multiple rounds, and it just made me look like, you know what, maybe like how I said before, the grass ain't always greener over there. You know what I'm saying? Like it made me like, you know what? I'd rather just be able to go to the grocery store. Like I'd rather just be able to do all of these things without dealing with that because you never know what is going on behind closed doors. It might sound and seem glamorous, and I know that for sure because a lot of people, even when I'm on tour, they're like, "Oh, you must do this, you must go this and stuff like that." I'm like, "Nigga, I got a coach seat. I don't got no first class. Like, what
They people don't understand
It's not all
the
cracked
the
up
real
sometimes.
deal Holyfield.
Like
Like
you
you
don't
ain't
see
getting no
what
sweets. They ain't
right
putting you in sweets when you go on tour
unless you the
unless
main
you the
right,
main act.
right. I'm just like you don't
You
see
staying
what
at the
goes
Holiday Inn, the Comfort Inn.
getting McDonald's afterwards, like, because we want to eat. Like, I'm like, you
You
just see
sing
the
on Mariah
show. You
Carey.
don't see what goes on behind it. Even with the show, they were saying how many different things that Dan Schneider, he
I was
was
just
like
about to mention him. He
putting
was
like
like at the forefront of everything that was
the
going on.
everything. And then there was like subliminal messages of little girls being squirted on in the face and being like it
The foot fetish and all
the
kinds.
foot fetish and
Right.
making the kids
Wasn't
give him a
just
massage.
right.
And
It
all.
wasn't just all sexual assault. It
Yeah.
was. It was
It was
a
nigga, you
kid
nasty
being nasty.
and dishing. Chris is here, and I'm glad he is here. He is the only child of one of us here. Chris, in your quarter of a century years on this earth, have I ever let you go any place where it wasn't your family with you, or spend a night anywhere, or like
No,
Son,
Johnny.
no. Have I ever? There's a level of accountability that parents have to have. And if anybody touch you, please tell me now, so I don't keep
Thank you,
going.
yo. That's not West Indian in you.
I don't want to keep going. You know, but
Yeah.
Mom would say, let me go nowhere. Nowhere.
My youngest son constantly asks to go over his friends' houses, and you know his friends are predominantly all Caucasian, and I'm just like, we don't know the people. You know, the black kid always something always happens to the black kid when they go over to somebody's house and spend a night.
Mm-hmm.
When they go on a camping trip.
They were like, you can't go over there, but they can all come over here.
You let your friends can come on over here. We have a good old time. We pop some popcorn. Because I know I ain't touching nobody children. You see how I said children?
Children.
I ain't touching nobody children. So Chris, has you know your experience as a young man growing up in these perilous times?
Why they gotta be perilous though?
Because they is perilous. These times is perilous. What the old folks used to say, we living in the last days.
It's been the last day since
I know the last days has been happening forever.
The last days.
I don't like when people say that. Like, I get it. I understand like the religious basis behind it, but like I feel like that's such a baseless response to calamity, because every year from the beginning of time, there's been some massively traumatic event that's happened. Whether or not it's happened in America, it's happened to you directly is different, but people have always been getting blown up. People have always been dealing with sexual identity issues. It's been going on forever. It just looks different now. The same thing every generation, it just has a different mask on. Like you said, everything went in the 90s. I could argue that everything goes now.
No, everything don't go and it be swept under the rug. Everything could go now, but somebody somewhere is finding out about it.
The difference is now there's a filter. What happened before we had the technology is people without money could still do certain things. Now you need money to get away with certain things. Doing certain crimes without bread, you can't get away with anymore. But if you have the money,
if you recall when that whole situation happened with Kevin Hart, and we found out later that the friend never set him up, but that was the story that his team got together and they conjured up so that he wouldn't look as bad for smashing Shorty, you know, in the hotel room when he was away. It was said that his friend was the one that, you know, he coerced the whole situation, and nobody after that really was like, Kev, so you made this whole thing up so you wouldn't look stupid in front of your wife and America or your fans? Nobody ever said anything. It literally went away. But like to Chris's point, when you have money, things can just fade away. All of the news cycles, you ain't hear nothing about it.
Also, too, what's happening is, like, there's a picture, you see the picture of Kevin Hart's head is popped up. I remember just seeing a picture of his head popped up wherever he was with the girl. Back in the 60s, 50s, 40s, 70s, there was no camera on your phone. Matter of fact, you didn't have a phone in your hand to take with you to record. So now things are able to get more exposed than it used to be, and I think that's a key player in a lot of things, even down to the ring. Like, you can't even do anything with somebody's block because somebody got a ring.
Because somebody's ring might pick you up.
Like he had backed out and hit this serviceman that was working on our house. He hit the car. He hit the man's van, and then he looked around to see if anybody had a damn ring. Of course, she had a ring and recorded him hitting the damn van. So I said to say, you know, yes, things have been happening for centuries. It's just now everybody has to be on the lookout that there might be a hidden camera somewhere. And I think also, too, Chris, just to let you know, the climate from the time I was in the 70s, the biggest thing was snitches get stitches. That was the biggest thing. Like, you don't snitch on nobody. I remember when my kids were small and they had told on their cousin, and a family member went off on my child and was like, you're not supposed to be telling on your cousin. No, you're supposed to be telling on your cousin, because if your cousin's touching you, you need to go tell somebody. But back then, when somebody said you're not supposed to be snitching or snitching on your family members, it was acceptable to hear that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So, like, this whole thing, not to take it in a different direction, but this whole thing, I applaud Taraji P Henson, because there's no reason why Black actors and actresses are still getting the amount that they're getting, and it did not get exposed. So finally,
that was also another thing that happened recently, where, you know, she came out crying and saying that she, you know, she's tired of getting, but who was it that came out after her and said that that's her team's fault because her team negotiated that price? She knew what she was getting when she signed the contract. If she didn't like the price, she shouldn't have signed the contract. So it's a catch-22.
Yeah, but at least she spoke up. That's the key.
Yeah.
People are speaking up now. People are saying things. So
no, but I also think that prior to Benjamin Button, she, you know, accepted certain things because it's just like, well, you know, I'm trying to get to that Oscar worthy status. And when she got nominated for Benjamin Button, it's just like, okay, Oscar nominee Taraji P Henson. Now that goes before her name in anything she does. She would think that she would be getting more. That her stock just went up.
Viola Davis speaks about it
all the time. She speaks about it all the time.
So you know, we've done shows and we've ended the show saying people need to start speaking up, or this is the age of speaking up, and God really wants people to start speaking up, because what goes on in the dark must come to light. And there's been so many things that has happened over the centuries. I agree with you, Chris. This has been going on for years and years and years. Because you know why you know that it's been going on for years is those no way in hell that these people were able to do this in the 90s and comfortably do it like it was a script that they read 100 times over. This thing was repeatedly done to the point where it was normal for them. So because of the history behind pedophilia with children, it just bled into the 90s, or you know, that era. So I agree, it's been going on for years. It's just now this is the era where people are saying, you know what, this is not right anymore. Like how we talked about how people started exposing celebrities like Ellen DeGeneres, we said Lizzo, you know, how they're being bitches. You know, celebrities been being
allegedly.
Celebrities have been allegedly been assholes and bitches for years. I was watching an interview with the guy, I forgot his name. Two guys were talking, and one of them, he's a Love and Hip Hop Miami star. He's Trina's cousin. And when he was at the Grammys, he went up to Taylor Swift and asked her to take a picture, and she gladly took a picture with him with no problem. He said, had that been a black celebrity, you know, so
that's not necessarily true. Whatever his name is, that is a generalization.
I went to a hair show at Barner and Brothers. Sakina, who is Tiny's best friend, I had went up to her to ask her a question. What's her name?
Yeah, Shekinah Joy. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm sorry.
I was like, wrong name.
What's her name?
Shekinah Joy.
I went up to that woman to ask her about a show that was being taped, and she knew the people taping the show. Girl, when I went to go talk, girl, you would have thought I was trying to touch Michael Jackson out of his motherfucking grave. And I was like, you, really, you? Anywho,
she ain't got a single. She ain't got a album out of nothing.
And I guarantee you, if I had to the same
thing, she's just a reality star.
I bet you $1 had I went up saying Barner Brothers and Taylor Swift was there, I bet you would have been able to talk to her the way I was trying to talk to Shekinah, and she would have answered my damn question.
But you know what? I'm sure, Keish, you probably went up to her. Out of nowhere. You start making this conversation out of nowhere. You know how you come out of left field. You talk about I come out of left field. We over here talking about Brown Brothers here. You talking to her about a doggone show. Did you hear about the show? Did you hear one about the two dogs in the...
No.
If you don't get out my face.
It's deeper than that. Because I had donated thousands of dollars to worth of hair to a damn reality show that she knew about.
So say that you was butthurt because you had donated all of this hair. She was like, "Hey, did you hear about the show with the two dogs and the nickel?" Well, apparently.
What, $2 and a nickel?
Had I been Taylor Swift, she's like, "No, darling, I don't know anything about that." People are speaking up. Point has been made. Case closed.
Yo,
I bet you if you'd have asked Beyonce,
No.
you wouldn't even got to Beyonce.
She's black. That's the point I'm trying to make to you. These black celebrities.
You wouldn't have even got to.
Girl. I can't even be on the same planet with Beyonce.
Listen, I'm not making excuses for Shekinah Joy because clearly she does not have enough on her resume to be acting like that. Not to my sissy. She don't act like that to my sissy.
I'm a child of God.
That's right. However, you know, a lot of times there be crazy people that come up to you. So if this chick comes out of nowhere asking about a show that I'm just like, and we here at Bronner Brothers, I'm just like, bitch, what? I'm just saying, the two didn't go together. I'm just saying.
I had dropped names to her. I asked her where was the dude.
Here she go.
We're gonna make a whole show about this.
I asked her the names.
I dropped bars. I was dropping names. Like, do you know what so-and-so? Remember the dude that used to wear red lipstick? Well, now all of them do, but
Good night. That's when I'm gonna leave. Yo, Keisha's on a roll tonight.
I sure am. I got a lot of business.
In my most humble opinion, right? Because you have Angela Bassett, that was very gracious. And she just, out of her long history of award-worthy performances that she has had in movies,
yes,
she just received the higher echelon awards that
Honorary Oscar, just as an FYI.
Oh, it was an honorary?
It was an honorary. It's not for
what?
One of her films. No, you get the Oscar, but it's for your
I know
work.
that's what Sam Jackson got.
Right. It's not for a certain.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I have a two-part question. First part being, I wish you could see how my hand is crossed over my stomach right now.
It's like
yeah. The first part being, you're saying or you're mentioning this Angela Bassett award in reference to what conversation specifically?
In reference to the fact that we as women of color, well, I'm not even gonna say women of color, as Black women, we clearly are talented in the things that we do. However, we don't get the notoriety, we don't get the awards that we should get in giving the even better performance than our counterparts.
Okay, let's stick a pin in that right there before we continue on, right? So when it comes to the entities, I guess if you want to use that word, that are handing out these awards or handing out the honorary, accolades or whatever to these Black women that you're referencing, right? You prefaced what you said with clearly we are X, Y, and Z as Black women, right?
What was the word that I used in X, Y, Z? Clearly, we are what?
Clearly
What exactly did I
more
say?
talented or deserving of.
I said deserving. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, why does it matter that the Oscars, a historically inaccurate measure of our talent, why are we still caring or wanting to care about their opinion regarding our talent and what we do? I think the more pressing issue should be on owning the entities that hand out the accolades or the awards, as opposed to still trying to prove ourselves to a group of people that historically have not gotten it right.
Well,
Why do we continue to
if
walk
I
down
may,
that path? I
if
never get
I'm,
any positive.
if I may, Mr. Garvey, I agree with you on one aspect of the coin, but any artist, director, musical artist, it should matter. I shouldn't want a Grammy. I shouldn't want an Emmy. I shouldn't want a Tony. I shouldn't want an Oscar. But at the end of the day, most people that are in the industry, that's what they want. Some people might not be like, I don't need that. That does not mean that I'm not good. And they could really feel that way. But they could also really feel, well, why don't I get it? Well, what's
That's
wrong with me?
understandable. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's not that's not ambiguous anymore. There's an answer to the question as to why you don't get it. We know the answer to these questions, which is my point. You're still wanting the approval of someone who's not willing to give it to you.
It's not the approval. It's more so the accolades or the acknowledgement.
Right.
It's the acknowledgement of saying, "Hey, I see you. That performance was dope. You killed that performance. You killed that album."
I'm more than aware of that. As a creative, I am 100% understanding the importance of your art and your art form being recognized in a certain capacity, especially if you're deserving of said recognition. But my question to you is, the specific entity that we're wanting the recognition from, historically, has not gotten it right. And our expectation is that they should. And this has been going on since the inception of said entity. And we're still going to the same well and wondering why it's dry. Year in and year out.
You are absolutely right. I think the problem is that every culture except for Black Americans have their own. So
correct. That's my point.
In the Asian community, they have their own award shows.
We have the NAACP awards, Image Awards.
Yeah, but nobody's hanging up their NAACP over their Grammy.
What you said?
Oh, you know that.
I have.
Wait. Repeat what you just said, Chris. Sorry, Shauna. What you just said, Chris?
Like, nobody's placing the value of an NAACP award, typically, not, for everybody, over the value of, say, Grammy or an Oscar.
You just answered the question then. You just answered your own question.
But I've heard,
I knew the answer to my question.
Like, I've seen certain interviews with people like big stars. I remember one interview with Toni Braxton, and she's received all of them, but she said the award that has meant the most to her is the Soul Train Award, because she said it was from her own. She said it was the show she watched as a kid. She like always wanted to be on. So for her, it was that. I think it depends on
the person.
Yeah, of course. I don't think Beyonce is now making this new album, the country album, and then I heard the next one is the rock album. I don't think she's doing it for a Grammy. I don't think she's doing it to win the album of the year. I think she is at a place where she's like, I am Beyonce. I can do
Everything.
whatever I want.
So,
She,
but those
you
are
know,
two artists though. We talking about I'm talking
no,
about
no,
the
no. I know. I'm
artists.
just, I'm just
Yeah,
using
like yeah,
those
Tony
as an
Braxton,
example.
Beyonce, cool, but we talking about 90% of artists, they look to the Oscars and
They
the
and
Grammys and all
the
these
Grammys, right?
the upper
And
echelon
I
or
think
the
that's also
pinnacle
because
of
it was
unfortunately,
just the
success.
You know what, too? If somebody gets a Soul Train award versus a Grammys, or somebody gets, a BET Awards versus an Oscar, the person that gets the Oscar is going to get more notoriety worldwide.
I was just about to
that's
say
what I was
that
gonna say.
when
I
you
was about to
get
say
the
that.
Emmy, the Tony, the Oscar,
It's
Golden
the
Globe.
Golden Globe,
it's
your
more
now
known.
your yesterday's price
It's not
is
today's
not
price.
your price. Your what you can ask for changes. And I think that was one of the reasons why Taraji felt the way she did, because she thought that yesterday's price wasn't going to be today's price, but she
But it is
realized
yesterday's price.
that
Still
it
today's
is.
price.
It's still today's price. Let me call my manager. Manager, you didn't tell him that yesterday's price. So you understand what I'm saying? So I think that was one of the that is one of the reasons why our entertainers, actors, what have you, feel the need to at least get nominated for something, because they feel that once you have that nomination, that
It opens
more doors. And unfortunately, no album, no movie, no nothing will excel or do the numbers that it should if it's only depending on Black folks to support it. So you have to have a myriad of different races that are helping to support your whatever it is in order for you to get in front of different, you know what I'm saying?
I think that argument would be outstanding 10 years ago. Today, not so much, right? Because you have not even just you can X out just rappers and singers, right? If we talk about not just rappers and singers, just Black people, we can X out just Black people. If we talk about just how society functions, or not even just society, but notoriety functions right now, you don't need a Grammys, you don't need an Oscars to be notable, right? And it's almost like the NBA, right? You'll have 50 million kids want to pick up a basketball and be a pro player. Out of those 50 million, who's actually going to get seen? Out of the people that get seen, who's going to get seen by the right people?
right.
Out of those right people, who's going to get seen by the person that's going to sign you? Those numbers drop off drastically through each of those phases. So by the time you even get to a point where you're even considered for a nomination, bro, you've already had the notoriety that you needed to be where you at. As now, like 5-10 years ago, maybe not. But Lil Nas X, before he even had a album, he was worldwide off of that one song with Billy Ray Cyrus. Had 5 different remixes with 5
Yeah,
different artists.
he's a unicorn in that, right?
No, he's not.
Because
There's mad artists that do that.
I understand what you're saying, but like if he didn't do that, and like some of these other artists as well, you can become a household name, but until the labels and or the movie houses agree that what you're putting forth is what they should put an engine behind, it's never going to work. They only put their money behind what they feel is going to be.
Understand.
Now, Little Nas X's what he puts out there, the companies or the powers that be to be like, yeah, let's show this little Black boy going down a pole on Satan and then giving Satan head. Let's show that to these little Black and brown kids.
That was after he garnished the notoriety that he did.
For Old Town Road. He did that for Old Town Road. It wasn't until he got the engine behind him that he was just like, you know what? I got a vision.
But that wasn't him. What you're saying is moving in reverse. He had the platform before he got picked up.
Yes, and then once the platform picked him up, then it was the little engine that could. That's when he went. That's when he got the big budgets to get these to have these videos of him.
His benefit. That was not to his benefit. If Lil Nas X is making $5 million a year, how much do you think the label is making? You understand what I'm saying?
We're not disputing that.
Right, but that's my point. You talking about you need the Oscars or the engine to get behind you to get notoriety. You don't need the engine to get
yes,
notoriety.
but what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is this. What I'm trying to say is this. Lil Nas X, he could have did Old Town Road and he got everybody listening to him. But in order for him to sustain that, the money has to come from somewhere to push the studio time, to push the marketing, to push all the publishing. There has to be some type of funds that's going to continue that train to move. 100%. You can hit it from the go and you can get that big hit. You can get that big hit at first. But in order to continue and to put out an album and to put out videos and to get your glam team and to have your people on the road, that all costs money. And in order for them to have that, is for an engine to get behind them.
You don't need a label.
One of the things
tons of artists that are
you ask the artists that are doing it by themselves how hard it is.
I never said it was easy. The word easy never came out of my mouth. My point was that it's not needed. Before you required a label to get where you are. Now you can pick up a phone and start doing it tomorroh.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris, let me
explain. It's accessible now.
Let me show you. I'm gonna show you from a different angle. This all correlates come together with what I'm about to say. So the speaking up era is big, where it exposes everyone to what's right and what's wrong. Mm-hmm. So years ago, we really didn't care too much about. I mean, I was younger, but Black people were at a point where we were accepting the fact that Oscars were the way it was. It was part of our fabric to sit there and watch the Oscars and accept the fact that it was lily white. So now I'm gonna have you into my world with the medical field. And a Filipino nurse had opened my eyes to this, and I was in nursing school. Right now, as a Black nurse, I can make money. I really can. There's so many agencies, there's so many apps out there that I can make a lot of money. I would have to bust my ass, but I can make a lot of money. I got this new job. All the higher ups, all the educators are not me. I don't see not one of us educating in those top tiers. Why? Because no one spoke up yet. No one is saying, I deserve an Oscar. I deserve to be up there with y'all. Why am I not? I'm good, just as good as you. I got a license just like you. I got a master's like you. I got all these credentials. Why am I not an educator? Why am I not at that high level with y'all? What happens is when there's a system built, when there's a house built, and it's been a certain way for years, people tend to get comfortable and used to things looking the way it looks. And at this point, the medical field continues to be the way it is, where you will never see too many Black people running the show in the medical field. Unless it's a rundown nursing home, then you'll have like the assistant manager may be Black. But in hospitals, next time you go visit somebody in a hospital, all the higher ups is not us. That's equivalent to the Oscars. So when I understand what you're saying, but sometimes it's the principle of saying, you know what? Take that white hood off. Take that white outfit off. It's time for shit to change. It's not about actually getting the award. It's about us not swallowing the pill that you guys been giving to us for years, where we sit and watch y'all get y'all accolades for the shit that we do like y'all. Matter of fact, y'all brought us from Africa to over here. This is our home too. This is our country. So it's like, we as Black people, especially Black Americans, this is it. This is our land. It's not like a lot of Black Americans can't go to Jamaica. They can't go to Africa. This is it. So when they're in a place where they're fighting to get the same thing that they deserve, after a while, somebody has to speak up. And what we're doing right now, what people are doing, where they're fighting to get the Oscar, it has nothing to do with the Oscar. It's about speaking up and waking people up and saying, "Your bullshit, we see it. We're not going to sit here and watch your bullshit anymore." So going back to the whole medical field, Black nurses haven't been fighting yet. We haven't been saying we want our Oscar, because you know what it is? We're so used to being able to get jobs that we make good money anyway. But eventually we're going to start saying, hey, why are we not up there with y'all getting the Oscar with you?
Don't miss part 2 of Between Family.
These are people from the middle and lower class that are child molested, right? Statistically.
Right.
If we bump that up to people with money and power, right? People that you wouldn't think child molesters are child molesters. Now, you get all this money, all this power, all this leeway. I don't care how dope your song was. I don't care how nice your lyrics is. I don't put it past anybody to do some sick mess.